Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be painting some more Christmas ornaments. Last year I actually did this and I had a lot of fun, so I wanted to do it again this year for Christmas. So we have a nice selection of wooden slices here, which I bought previously. And yeah, I didn't want to waste them, and now I'm just picking out which ones I like. I want a good variety of sizes as well as the textures on these guys. And as you can see here, we actually have some that I have still primed from last year. And yeah, I'm going to be using those as well. One thing I love about these is that they are all completely unique because these are just slices of a branch with a little hole cut in them. Some of them have like really dark pronounced rings and some are really light, and the contrast is really interesting. So now that I have picked out a few that I like, I'm actually going to be giving them a light sand just to clean up the area a little bit, and we are going to be sealing these so that we can paint on them and they'll last a long time. For this, I'm just using my Joe Sonja's all-purpose sealer. I love this stuff because you can use it to seal a wide variety of surfaces to paint, and it's also clear so we can still see that beautiful wood grain and have that sort of natural look to it. One thing I like about this too is that it very subtly emphasizes the wood grain, as you can see, and it just deepens the colors very slightly, and I think that's mainly due to it having a glossy finish. So without further ado, let's get into painting the first one. So for the theme of these ornaments, I have decided to go with Pokemon, mainly because I love Pokemon and I love painting Pokemon and I love seeing sort of Pokemon Christmas stuff. And also this little set here is actually going to be a gift to my sister and her family, her and her partner and her two little kids. And yeah, they all love Pokemon just like me. So this first one here is going to my little niece Penelope, and she is a little baby, and I thought, me and my sister thought together, you know what, Togepi would be a really good idea. It has the cuteness there, and I think I can do something very cool with the sort of Christmassy aspect. So I'm starting off with some base colors here, just a sort of peachy color and a white color, and I actually did a few layers of those so that you couldn't see the wood through through the paint pens. And as you can see already, there is a slight crack on the side, which I didn't really notice at first, but as I was adding paint, I guess it was starting to absorb the moisture and the crack was a little bit more noticeable. But don't worry about that because later on I actually filled that crack in with glue, and after sealing it and everything, there is no damage, and you can't really notice it too much unless you look at the back, so we won't worry too much about that. But here we have the little Togepi, and I'm really loving the details so far, and I decided I really wanted to have the Christmassy element in this one to be Christmas lights and have them sort of going around Togepi's little body, and having the lights little different colors and Togepi just very happy about it. I thought it was a very cute idea. I was also able to use the lines from the Christmas lights as a way to hide the crack there on the side, so that was very smart of me, I will say. Now the colors I decided to go with were the lightest colors that I could that would look Christmassy, and that includes a yellow, a green, and I actually used a sort of light, slightly pinkish red color, and I decided that because it would look different to the red that is on Togepi's body, and also it being brighter, it will show sort of more that it is like fairy Christmas lights. And then I decided that the Christmas lights needed some line art just to help distinguish the shapes and make it look a little bit more cohesive, and I added some extra highlights, and here it is. So for this one, this is actually for my sister's partner Matt, and we decided on Snorlax for this one because it just has his vibe. It's a happy man kind of Pokemon, and I decided to emphasize that and add the Christmas cheer onto this Pokemon and turn it into Snorlax Santa. And honestly, I love this one. It's just so funny. it kind of really works. Snorlax really works for a Santa and the colors look really cool too. So I started off with a base of just the red because I wanted to block out the main colors in this illustration, and then we have the blue for Snorlax, and then the cream color for his face and also a little bit on his lower belly. After this, I took the white paint pen and I just sort of blocked out some of the white fluffy areas on his Santa coat. And I actually used a sort of stippling technique around the edges to make it look really nice and fluffy. And with the bullet tip of this pen, it worked out very well. And it was actually quite satisfying to get a nice sort of random fluffy texture to have on those little accents. Next up, I wanted to do his little belt, and I was very careful with this because the black paint pen can sometimes be a little too thick at times, but I was just very careful with that, and I'm glad that it turned out the way it did because I think it looks really cool. And I'm just fixing up some of the shape of the coat here because I feel like it needs to be longer because Snorlax needs a bigger body. And after this, I'm adding in some more fluffy textures around Snorlax's neck, and then we are going in with the black paint pen again to do his cute little face. And I decided on just a happy little smile, and later on I added in his little teeth and just some line art here and there. And overall, I really love this one. I think it turned out super cool. Now I wanted to add a little bit of a metallic effect to some of the areas of each of these, and I decided on silver for the claws and also gold for the little belt buckle. And honestly, I think that it is such a nice little addition. He has his little silver nails painted, which is actually quite a similar color to his normal nails, which I think are sort of like a grey color. And after just a few additions to the fluffiness, just to make it a little bit more jolly, here it is, and I really like it. So this next one here is for my sister Emily, and I decided to do Gengar because that is one of her favorite Pokemon, and I think that this one probably turned out to be my favorite. I just really love the pose and stuff like that. So to start off, I added a nice purple base with the rough shape of Gengar, as you can see here, and now I'm going over with a lighter purple, and I'm just adding in some subtle highlights and subtle details. And the thing I'm actually doing here now is I'm just taking that dark purple again, and I'm just blending them a little bit together to try and get a nice sort of shading effect with these markers. I don't do this too much because sometimes it can end up a little bit messy, and oftentimes I do like this sort of block color style you can get with these pens. However, I just felt like with Gengar, he is like a ghosty Pokemon, and I just think that it suits him a little bit more to have some sort of shading and blending, and I think it's going to look very cool. For some areas, I even took a paintbrush just to sort of blend it a little bit better, and I think the results are pretty good. After this, I let it dry completely, and now I'm going over with some red, as you can see here, and you can see sort of the red sort of not sticking properly to the base. That usually sometimes happens when my paint pen isn't shaken up enough, but we just went over it a few times and it fixed itself out. Now I'm adding in the mouth with the big tongue, and I've decided to have his tongue holding a candy cane, which I'm going to paint later. Now to go in with his teeth after the tongue has dried, and honestly, I just love the way that I painted the teeth. I just think that it turned out super cool. And here is the candy cane. Now for the candy cane, I decided to go with a bit of a metallic red for the stripes, and honestly, I think it turned out so cool. I had to do a few layers of the candy cane shape to make it nice and opaque, and then after that I went in with the metallic red, and I actually used the sort of extra fine tip to make sure that I had those details nice, and yeah, just did some diagonal stripes on the candy cane, and that's pretty much how you draw a candy cane. It's quite simple, but honestly this one ended up being my favorite one. I just don't know like why. I just think that it's so satisfying with the line art and the highlights and just the details and the overall feel of him. So the last but definitely not least one I'm doing today is for my niece Scarlett. Now Scarlett loves Mew and Mewtwo because they are the rarest and I just had to do Mew and Mewtwo in this because I know that she will love it. And yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but honestly I like a good challenge and I like Mew and Mewtwo as well. So I'm just going in here with the light purple and we're just doing the rough shape of Mewtwo here. I'm paying attention to the shape of his head, the shape of his hands as well. And now once that is dry, I'm going in with the dark purple and I'm just going for the tail and the part on his like belly between his legs, which is the same color as his tail. And yeah, after that I'm going in with the details on his face and I'm just slowly building up some detail here. And I'm also doing a little bit shading too, just to sort of accentuate some of the details on Mewtwo, like his chest area, his fingertips. And after this, I'm actually going in now and I'm using the light pink and I am drawing little Mew in front of Mewtwo. And I'm just emphasizing his little feet and his tail and his cute little cat head as well. Have I told you that Mew is one of my favorite Pokemon? After this, I'm going to go in with some line art so we can see some of those details on Mewtwo stand out. And I'm just going around with the fine or extra fine black paint pen here. And I'm just showing off his little details, as you can see. I'm also going to go in with the dark purple for Mewtwo's eyes and also a sort of dark pinkish red color for Mew's line art because I want to make Mew stand out in front of Mewtwo. So we're going to use some colored line art for Mew and I think it looks very cool. Now I still wanted to have a Christmassy aspect to this. As you can see, it was just Mew and Mewtwo, so I decided to have them both holding presents because what is Christmas without presents? And I actually couldn't decide properly on the colors for the Christmas presents. First I was like yellow with gold sort of ribbons, and then I decided on gold and then gold with black ribbons, but eventually I ended up somewhere that I liked, and now we're just adding in some more highlights and just changing up the colors of the presents until I'm happy. I ended up adding a little bit of silver too, and here it is. Here is the results of this one, and honestly I love it so much, and I love Scarlett loves it too. So here is the results for all of them together, and as you can see I've also added a nice iridescent varnish which adds a really nice sort of like Christmassy sparkle to it, and I think that it complements it very, very well. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below which one of these are your favorite. As you know earlier, mine is probably the Gengar, but I love all of them the same. And yeah, hope you're all having a lovely day. Please stay safe out there, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye everyone.